glory that or even an international appearance that we've seen the team come to. But hopefully, new name, new faces, it will be a new season for this LNG lineup.
And here we go, dropping into the champion select with LNG, kicking off on the blue side with Invictus Gaming on the red side. Ryzen Jace out of the table from the blue end of the bands with Pyke and Silas, a staple pick in the LPL, taken out.
And it was Plex's hard carry performance on that really cements the fact that Silas is a absolute necessity against LNG in particular. Thinking about it though, Aatrox has been a permanent fixture on the red side ban pretty much across the LPL, and especially against LNG. As well as that, we've seen the Akali ban because it is a decent flex pick between both Flandre and Plex. So I'm thinking we either see the Aatrox removed here and the Akali picked fairly early, or if you take away the Galio, it does leave that Aatrox open.
Ooh. And the Aatrox instantly picked up a Flandre on the blue side of LNG. One thing that I did want to look at here in the ban section was the Olaf ban. I think it was Sin that mentioned it last series. This is still patch 9.10 in the LPL server in China, so Olaf is still a priority here. So he had to be taken out. However, Invictus Gaming lock in the flexible Nico and potentially the flexible Jarvan.
So if you take the Jarvan here, it does mean that you have drawn up a bit of priority on the Yasuo pick, which we have seen a little bit of. And as well as that, the Nico coming in here basically says, look, I dare you to pick Aatrox and send him top lane, because I will ensure that he does not have anywhere near a good time.
Anywhere near a good time. We did see the Gragas hover as well. Kind of an underground, but still consistently strong pick that we could see somewhere down the pipeline. But Irelia was left open. One other pick that you were discussing with me was the Akali.
Yeah, Akali definitely a flex pick available here, but it would mean that you have to send the Aatrox jungle. Of course, you don't really want to send the Aatrox towards that top side, simply because Nico kind of ruins every melee's day. Sejuani pick up is interesting because if she can't get ahead of the Jarvan early, it does mean that his early game is so much more impactful until we look towards those level 16 fights.
Absolutely. Now the biggest question is, I mean, it's not even a question at this point. It's about the Irelia. Where is she going to chase? I think that she might be chasing down Nico on the solo lanes, considering that we already have a Sivir. Nico is cut off as a bottom laner, and Irelia against Nico, she gives her no room to breathe whatsoever.
And now thinking about that Sivir that you've just mentioned is the fact that we have Yuumi open, and Yuumi with Sivir is pretty much the single best lane in the game right now. It's not exactly got a lot of kill pressure, but it is very, very safe, and just the fact that Sivir naturally takes a lot of wave control, she can teleport around the map and whatnot. So yeah, Sivir Yuumi, the single safest lane in the game.
Let's see if LNG can hear you, because they have already banned out Akali. I think they're trying to retrieve some of the lingering flex picks away from IG's champion pool. If we're maintaining this consistency, I would say Vladimir would be the next ban here for LNG, but it's LeBlanc.
Now, LeBlanc does telegraph the fact that, you want to send one of these, considerably weaker in the early game melee carries towards the mid lane. Of course, the Akali ban does make sense, especially with the fact that LNG have secured both of their solo laners. Yes, they're both flexes and could go into either of these lanes, but there's still a distinct possibility that you could face down one of these scarier champions. And oh, indeed, as we do have no consideration for the Yuumi here, some support's being hovered over.
I guess Lucas doesn't have Yuumi as a potential champion in his pool and decides to go for Taric alongside Sivir. I mean, it's still a bit of sustain, it still has a ton of CC, and it has the added ability of being a bulky champion at its core.
We could see an LNG Yuumi, but thinking about it, actually, there are still a couple of options. You could go for the hard engage with the likes of Rakan, but I don't really like Rakan last pick. Galio being banned out does limit your options a little bit. However, Morgana was a ban against LNG in a previous series, so that
is it locked in? It is. It's locked in. It's Sabar and Ezreal bot lane. What is this? Rusty, if you're watching this game is for you.
I absolutely okay, that was not something we were expecting, but yep, Bard does have a pretty phenomenal early lane pace.
For Bard.
he can do things, and that's why they picked him, because he can do things. Some very good analysis there, but yeah, just really, really good early trading, can punish the Sivir, can pop the spell shield with his passive, so if you auto attack with the Meeps, it does proc that, and of course Bard just has a pretty dominating lane phase against most of these melee picks. As well as that, the innate engage potential of that Tempered Fate coming across the map, getting the AoE Zhonya's effect, just really, really good at facilitating some of these early tower dives that we've come to attribute to this LNG lineup. Something we didn't touch on before,
yeah, I was going to lead into that, was the Fiora top lane, the anti-tower dive. Bard kind of doubles down as a defense against Fiora, but Fiora is going to give a very, very hard lane over to Flandre on the Aatrox.
With the Tahm Kench kind of falling out the meta and the Galio banned out, Bard has pretty much the highest map influence of any support thanks to the innate ranges of his spells, whether it's the Tempered Fate or if you want to go on a magical journey across the jungle to reinforce your split pushes. But as well as that, I want to touch on the fact that the Sejuani pick actually now has 2 melee carries in the solo lanes to help proc those permafrost stacks.
She indeed does. I mean, you have the Irelia, you have the Aatrox, and both of these champions are, I'm going to call them dive champions, even though Aatrox is kind of a melee skirmisher. Irelia, however, definitely a dive champion, definitely going to facilitate the stacking of the permafrost stacks from Sejuani's E.
So, with the Fiora as well, it does mean that you no longer have the Nico in the Aatrox lane, which is something that I thought was going to be the answer there, because we really needed something to kind of hold down the Aatrox in the early game. Fiora, not really renowned for her early game, but past 3-4 items can really do a number on the Aatrox in the side lane, but it's all about getting the Shy to that point where he can really start to split push. But then again, he is the Shy, he does have a skin for Fiora himself.
He does!
Yeah, I'd say your faith isn't exactly misplaced.
Right. Oh, yeah, because... No, absolutely. So the world skin was Invictus Gaming, the Shy, on the Fiora, so... Uh-oh. But regardless, we're coming into the Summoner's Rift to start off the first game of this best of 3 match between LNG and Invictus Gaming. LNG on the blue side, Invictus on the red side.
LNG looking hot in their debut series, but now is the trial by fire coming up against our returning world champions. Yes, IG, not quite the dominating force they were before, but now they are here and we hear the crowd cheering.
No respect. No respect from the from the Chinese guys going all over the crowd. But regardless, here we go. The game is about to start off, and Invictus Gaming on a very, very aggressive poise, trying to insert vision in the enemy jungle. LNG focusing more on the top side of the map. We could be seeing a vertical jungle starting to form up here.
So there's a lot of intrinsic kind of difference in the spot lane from LNG that screams out to me, where the Ezreal, unless he can maintain his passive stacks fairly early on with the rising spell force, does not have too much of pushing power, while Bard really needs to do a lot level 1 to have, you know, his desired effectiveness. Okay, this looks fairly promising though,
already a 2v2 engage in the bot lane, but the Mecha Colonel coming in here with the favorites, or presenting the favorite game paths of this match. So LNG favorites in the early game up to around the 10-minute mark, and then Invictus Gaming should be able to take over the game. This is fairly reasonable considering the hyper carry that the Shy is playing.
Yeah, and just thinking about the Shy in the top lane, but look at that bot lane, so much early trading, and as well as that, just IG taking the brunt end of that, whether it's the double stun coming from that Q from Dwan, or even just thinking about the Mystic shots being threaded consistently from Azura on this Ezreal. It's now LNG with the complete onus in that bottom lane, the early level 2, and, you know, just ideal roams coming across the map now as they do look to get some vision to kind of dissuade Ning's early game Jarvan ganks.
Absolutely. But the thing is, it was IG who had vision inserted in SFM's jungle. So they knew that SFM started in the blue side of his map and not transitioning into the red side. Not that it really matters, because Sejuani is not that much of an early game champion compared to Ning's Jarvan. But still, it's vital information in case Ning wants the early skirmishes against his counterpart.
Actually, incredibly intelligent from IG here is the fact that not only do you have the spell shield from the Sivir, plus the riposte from the Fiora, just naturally gonna dodge out on that Glacial Prism from the Sejuani at level 6, but also Rookie packing Cleanse here does mean he has that additional level of safety, whether it's against the early game ganks from the Sejuani in tandem with the flawless duet of the Aurelia, or if it's those post-6 environments.
Now, talking a little bit about the top lane matchup between Aatrox and Fiora. It's so hard. We've talked about this in previous matches where Aatrox struggles against hypermobile champion. Fiora is definitely not shy in her mobility. Plus, the riposte, if well timed, will definitely cancel out Aatrox's Darkened Blade, send him into a stun, and just put him in a very, very dire position.
You said Fiora isn't shy, but clearly Fiora is the shy.
I led you into that.
Okay,
That was my bad.
moving back onto it, yeah. Plex just sustaining with this corrupting pot, pretty much par for the course for this lane. Couple of biscuits in the inventory of Rookie as well. He got the early level 2, he has that range versus melee matchup advantage, and is just laying down the hurt on this Aurelius. We do have more trading in the top side!
They were committing to the 1v1 trade. Flandre is waiting for the Darkened Blade cooldown, but I think the Shy misplayed with the riposte there.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate, and putting down his signature on the Rift, because why wouldn't you? Just, yeah, it's your skin, it's your Rift, it's your champion, however you want to handle this. Double Durance is the way that he wants to handle this, apparently, just building that extra rejuve bead to look towards that tier mark, get some wave clear in that top side eventually, as you do have both junglers looking to make their way towards the top side.
Yeah, but Flandre hasn't reset yet, and the Shy has the double Doran's Blade, like you said, so he is a little bit less susceptible to being dived here, especially with Ning around the corner. Flandre baiting the engage from the Shy, but he doesn't seem too comfortable in this matchup, incredibly enough.
Ning actually not getting a level 2 or level 3 successful gank, or even going for something along those lines. Yes, he has a slight XP advantage because of the way the Scuttle Crab's panned out, but it's still, you know, a small victory for LNG that the Sejuani's relatively weak early game in comparison to the Jarvan was not completely capitalized on.
Not yet, no. The Bard as well is roaming towards the mid lane, but Ning is also there alongside SFM. This is going to be a 3v2. Ning goes in looking for the first blood down on place, but he's not going to find it. He is going to be the sacrificial lamb as he perishes to the hands of Plex.
Suddenly a Bard in the mid lane after a magical journey, and Ning, you are dwan for. Coming through with that just complete outplay from LNG there. They got the reset in the bottom lane, they sent their Bard mid, got the roam in, and then just turned around that fairly early gank. And we said that this Jarvan really wants to go for the early ganks. Well, he finally went for one, but it blew up in his face. And Ning, this is not the start that you want to get off to.
Not at all. Flandre still facing off perfectly against the Shy. Fiora has, I guess, 2 major power spikes. One in the early game when she's really, really strong, a really, really strong duelist without any items, and one of the later stages of the game. She kind of dies off in the mid game, but she pops off tremendously on the split push and on the late game.
Yeah, I'd say she's already dying off here now, facing down Flandre and his longsword farm, but actually thinking about that kill that went over to Plex in the mid lane, it's not quite an... Oh, okay, we have 6 for Flandre.
Oh, there's the world, and they're going for the Shy. Shy trying to break the stacks as much as he can, but Flandre just solos the world champion playing on his main hero.
That was so close to a mechanical outplay. You saw the Shy getting 6 there, dropping the grand challenge, getting all 4 points of contention, but then he died before the heal could fully come through. I wanted to touch on the fact that Plex, despite getting that kill, is down basically 3 waves of CS here. Just, you know, the innate advantage of that matchup going over to the Nico so heavily. Rookie taking full advantage of that, and despite the fact he's down a kill, is still gonna be sticking it to this Aurelia for the next couple of minutes at least.
Now Ning still going for the going for the red buff now. Has a rotation on his camps, trying to get a mental reset of what just happened because LNG are dominating the early game. Still not a lot of plays to go around. Actually, no plays have been contested so far, so LNG kind of sitting back on the objective contention. They just want to buy themselves some time to scale up into the mid game.
Look at this mechanical outplay, having both of these guys having 6, but then the Shy ran out of mana, could not just dash around a little bit. Did manage to get the reset, maybe could have flashed to get it a little bit earlier, but I'm not sure it would have done too much because, as you said, the Darkened Blade came through, culled down the Fiora, and got Flandre the lead he needed in that top lane. Flandre, he's been around in this LPL scene for quite some time now. I believe it was the second half of Season 4 where we saw him come into his own. And it's refreshing to see that he can still hold his own against this new generation of top lane talent.
I mean, Flandre's not exactly a new generation top lane talent.
No, he's super been around for ages, but I'm saying that he can hold it against the newer generation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, we do see Ning trying to force another gank into top lane. He desperately needs to get the Shy ahead. Oh, wait. That was the Vanguard's Edge coming out against Rookie. Now, SFM is kind of lost in the mid lane going, okay, what now? excuse me, coming through, going towards the bot side. Don't mind me.
Yeah, bit awkward there, but something I want to touch on is the fact that we do have Ning camping in the bush top lane still, but as well as that, Flandre's flash is intact, and Ning, despite dying early, is building towards the AD, Jarvan. Ooh.
AD Jarvan coming up for Flandre. Flandre doesn't even budge, still has his flash up. Barely lost any health with that engage, as now we do have Plex in mid lane. No Vanguard's edge, but still trying to go for the dive as Rookie is forced to go for the pop blast to defend himself from Plex.
Plex actually waiting that out perfectly, could have gone for a further commit on the Blade Surge, but more importantly, did not want to just overextend there. Has teleport advantage, Rookie of course taking that cleanse that we touched on earlier, so when Rookie goes base, it's Plex's chance to get a little bit more gold to even up this matchup by just knocking down some of those early turret plates.
Flandre now might be looking for the 1v1 engager against the Shy, but the Grand Duel has been issued. Flandre goes for the world, and the trade is cut short as Flandre disengages. But
The Aatrox key missing there is so important.
It looks like the Shy won this small skirmish. Let's see who can out-sustain who. I mean, Flandre doesn't have a mana bar to actually worry about.
The Shy, I'd say, does not need to worry too much about his own, though, as you see him confidently sat at half. The Fiora notoriously low resource in current, but you do have a bit of a roam coming through from Dwan here.
Flash from the Shy, flash from the Flandre as well, and now you have 3 members for LNG collapsing on the Shy. There's Bard's ultimate being parried away, but the Shy is stuck between a rock and a hard place. There's the 3 members of LNG collapse, and Flandre picks up another kill on the Shy.
Flandre building towards his Black Cleaver fairly soon, as it does look like he's gonna have that Caulfield's Warhammer completed, you know, relatively close to that 12-minute mark or so with the Black Cleaver, just meaning that he's gonna hit those cooldown thresholds that are so important. But as soon as the Bard shows top, you can go for a dive bot lane, or not even dive so much as just zone away the Ezreal and start knocking down some of these early turret plates.
This is where IG are primed. They don't mind missing a few trades in order to get some objectives, and that's what it's all about. LNG, however, they're not sitting back. They're not sitting idly watching IG take over the map. No, they're taking objectives for themselves. And the Herald right now, considering that LNG are 3-0 and have some sort of map dominance, it's going to be great if well used.
And something I didn't touch on before was that you do have the luxury of going AD Jarvan on Ning, simply because you can dive forward with the Jarvan, drop the AD Cataclysm, and then have the reliability of the Taric ultimate to not only follow up with the invulnerability, but if you have the Tether plus the Dazzle on you, it does mean that you'll land a decent stun to follow up on whoever you've trapped in your Cataclysm.
Absolutely. Now, still haven't seen a Cataclysm being popped out yet, but we do see that Ning already has his Warrior Enchantment available and ready to go. It's just a matter of IG finding the appropriate collapses, even though it's being considerably hard considering that LNG have Bard virtually everywhere here.
LNG have the roaming Bard, and they also now have the Rift Herald in the pockets of Sophom, but just thinking about the fact that we have a lot of bot side vision focus from both of these teams around that early Cloud Drake. Neither of them really willing to pull the trigger, because LNG are basically saying, look, we don't need to take these skirmishes to beat you. We're winning in these micro trades that are coming through from us. As Ning looking again for a topside gank. This time Flandre no flash in pocket.
Oh man, he's absolutely wanting to get the Shy rolling on the Fiora, but it's getting hard as Flandre is becoming a monster on that Aatrox, already leading in CS, 2 kills ahead of his counterpart. And this is a Fiora that, well, doesn't have Kleptomancy. I don't know how common it is in competitive, but you do see seldom times Fiora packing the Kleptomancy. Now, Duan getting away from the engage, as we do see Rookie coming downstairs, but completely fumed away on that gang.
Yep, however you want to word it. Just, yeah, Rookie not really finding much for that, but not losing much either because of the immense amount of lane priority that this Nico does get for herself early on. Now, we do have the Essence Reaver completed for Jackie Love, which is a fairly major power spike, and as well as that, you do have the fact that Azura not quite built towards that Mana Moon early on yet. So, thinking about it, just saying that we can have some sort of a fight erupt soon, and it was pretty obvious that the IG bottom lane was not going to go for too many shenanigans, simply because this Taric from Lucas has already just got heal in his pocket, so he wasn't going to go for anything too crazy, as we do see the Rift Herald pop mid.
Rift Herald is popped mid. Well, we do see Flandre going up against the Shy yet again. The Grand Duel has been popped, and the area is healing up the Shy. Yet another trade where the Shy apparently took the bigger stick off this trade, but Flandre's still alive and healing up with his passive.
Flandre more than happy to take that trade simply because of the immense amount of disparity in not only the base cooldowns of these ultimates, but also look at Flandre's itemization. He's got the Caulfield's Warhammer, he's got the Kindle Gem, he has so much more cooldown reduction compared to the single Tiamat of the Shy that it means he can take these ultimate for ultimate trades. And now you have SOFM just looking for some sort of a gank here, has the Glacial Storm in pocket, Prison in pocket.
Glacial Prison doesn't use it yet, waiting for the potential block, and there it is. And now the Glacial Prison goes off. Flandre looking for the third kill of this match. The Shy has no room to breathe and no space to play.
Retaining the Glacial Prison, even just using the Permafrost to land that kill there on the Shy, waiting out the repulse perfectly, getting the follow-up damage from Flandre, and now everyone is rotating towards this top lane. No more turret plating available, but there still is a First Blood turret on the board available for this LNG lineup. LNG actually losing it to JackeyLove in the bottom lane.
Oh my. Probably a miscalculation from LNG. They had so much commitment to that top lane tower. They even threw the Herald in the mid lane, and still losing First Blood tower to IG has to be a blow they did not want to take.
It feels like Ning is just on the back foot in a lot of these, but then again, if you're playing a Civic composition with Fiora as well, it does mean that if you can prolong the game to that 25-30 minute mark, your chances at winning increase dramatically. Right now though, LNG 4 kills up, 2.5k gold up. It does look like they're willing to take the fight to IG, especially in this early to mid game.
They're not afraid to go in. And Fiora, like we said, Fiora has an early game spike, kind of drops down in mid game, but comes back strong in the late game. Just have to wait and see what the Shy can do. There's the Cataclysm. Sura immediately uses his Arcane Shift to get out of there. But look at the Shy, he parries away Bard's ult as Flandre now is ready to go in and restart the fight. Darkened Blade already going out. Flandre is going to disengage off his own jungle. Close quarters fight is good, but not ideal if LNG don't have all their cooldowns.
Really don't want to take close quarters fight against a team that has the Pop Blossom and the raw AoE utility from the Nico, combined with that Taric ultimate. Because if you stack up against the Taric, you eat multiple angles of that Dazzle. It means your entire team is basically stunned. Plus, with everyone in a clump, it means that everyone is getting full effectiveness of that Taric ultimate. Flandre, you may be in trouble, my friend.
No, he just really wants that war, and he pulls back Taric, and Lucas forced to flash away as Ning and Rookie starting to collapse on this 5v5 fight. There goes the hashtag GLP. Vanguard's Edge goes on top of Ning. The Cataclysm is no longer available. The Glacial Prison goes wide yet again, and Flandre has a reset on the World Ender. He's going wild on the Aatrox, looking for the double kill on Rookie, but he just survives on the skin of his teeth. SFM goes with the Arctic Assault over the wall, but JackeyLove flashes over to safety.
A little bit of a timeout on that World Ender, otherwise you could have seen more of a commitment from Flandre, but he rightfully backs off, zoning out Rookie, zoning out JackeyLove, IG on full damage control as they lose the fight and ideally lose this next Cloud Drake. LNG in full control as we head to that 16-30 minute mark.
And, I mean, the window is closing. LNG playing a very strong comp for the late game, and if they're this strong in the early game, there's very little that IG can do to actually fall back and try to farm up.
Look at this split, even with the fact you have the Sivir ult currently ticking. Shy never even got close to that fight. The Sejuani ult went, sure, a little bit wide, but you didn't need it to win that because of the way they turned around. There was no Cataclysm available for Ning. They just turned around on this AD Jarvan. Yes, the Taric ult came through, but by the time any real commitment, any real skirmish erupted, it had already timed out, and therefore IG just left themselves vulnerable, looking for a fight, got turned on, and got turned off.
Oh, LNG now playing the aggressive game in close quarters, looking for the red buff from Ning, clearing out vision. SFM now front and front against Ning. Ning forced to disengage as SFM secures the red buff on the opposing side of the jungle.
And this is not ideal for the Jarvan player because Ning, come on, he's playing the highest priority jungle in the pick in the game right now, but he's facing down a Sejuani that so far had more early game impact than this Jarvan. Yes, the first gank didn't go as planned, but it's still, you cannot afford to play this kind of style, especially in the mid game, against a team that's so confidently wrangling things away. This
Ezreal Prison lands over the spell shield. The true shot barrage shreds half of the HP bar from JackeyLove, and down goes the tower alongside the AD carry of Invictus. LNG dominating the entry to the mid game, while the Shy is just shyly trying to farm away with that, realistically pushing down the wave.
And this AD position is the only one with a gold lead relative to their counterpart. Jakilov on this Sivir scaling up versus Azura's Ezreal, but Sivir is a lot more gold and item intensive than the Ezreal. Ezreal's currently sat on the Gauntlet and the Mana Moon, and that's such a good position to be in, especially if you see this more hybrid AP kind of build, which I think we could expect to see, simply because there's so much AD damage currently being poured out of LNG. But right now, such a good 2-item power spike for this Ezreal. Jackie Love, you need a couple more items under your belt if you want to be a legitimate win condition for this IG lineup.
But he definitely doesn't have the space to have it. Look at LNG at 7-0. The one lane you would expect not to win, which is Aatrox into Fiora, in this case Fiora into Aatrox. I mean, Flandre just blew top lane wide open, and now you have two potential split push threats coming from Plex, coming from Flandre, that you need at least 2-3 players to take him down alone.
Boots and mobility Bard gives me flashbacks, man. I miss season 6, season 7, because, gosh, Dwan, this is such a unique pick, and it's paying off. Then again, the Taric, we haven't really seen without the Sona in the bottom lane, so both of these supports being fairly low-key, fairly unconventional, but still pulling their weight by way of sheer utility in these miniature skirmishes and eventual team fights, you have to imagine.
These small skirmishes are costing a lot to IG. They're delaying their power spikes. They have a very late game oriented team. They need to regain control of this game as the Vanguard's edge goes wide again, looking for Rookie but not finding its target. However, they do have the priority over the tier 2 tower in the bot lane, and this is amazing for the upcoming Baron power play that's about to hit the Summoner's Rift.
This rotation was absolutely beautiful from LNG, just continuing to apply their pressure across the board here, and IG just... Yeah, Tempered Fate, a little bit awkward. These ults have not been on point for the LNG lineup. Vanguard's Edge being questionable. Glacial Prison, yeah, hit or miss, quite literally. And then, yeah, the Tempered Fate, I think that was the first one that hasn't been Fiora parried so much as just gone wide.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, LNG, as it stands, they can afford to miss these ults. We all know SFM hasn't really been landing the Glacial Prisons, but the one that lands is the one that matters, realistically.
Lost Chapter coming through here for Azura does indeed confirm our suspicions that he would build towards that AP kind of oriented build because there's so much raw AD damage coming out across the board, and because, well, Ezreal really flourishes with this new AP-centric build, where he goes for that Luden's Echo and eventually the Hextech Gunblade as well, and it just means that he's pumping out reliable magic damage from a team that's, besides the Sejuani and a little bit the Bard, kind of lacking in that department.
5k behind. Absolutely. I mean, the AP Ezreal is definitely going to fit a gap in this team that is going to mix up the damage output that they have, but still 5k ahead. LNG, no flaws apart from the odd ultimate, but beyond that, no flaws whatsoever in the execution of this match, and it looks beautiful.
So I was harping on and on about the 2-item power spike for the Ezreal, but now we also have that core of the Glacial build for Rookie on this Neeko. You have both the GLP and the Twin Shadows, so this team fight, this pick potential really does become more influential if the E hits from the Neeko.
The spider senses from Plex, she sidestepped it from the Fog of War. Who is this mid laner?
Absolutely beautiful play coming through from the new player. Oh, Rookie
coming through on Asura, but he manages to Arcane Shift just in time. But the Dazzle's going to land, and they get a shutdown on Asura.
IG fully taking advantage of the fact that LNG finally look to be out of sorts in their rotation. They're leaving their AD carry fairly isolated. Ezreal's pretty safe in general, but we could see a turnaround here. Flandre fishing for some sort of a sideline flank. Keep in mind, the Rookie without the Pop Blossom is not too threatening, even though Neeko does do a fairly sizable amount of damage with this new build.
IG still in a good position to try and contest the Baron Asher. Reminder, Azura is 15 seconds away from respawning as Duan does manage to get the magical journey over the wall. Baron Asher now being regained control over by IG.
And thinking about it intrinsically, actually, the fact that this build from the Shy is actually not that far behind the one of Plex, it does mean that he's still a legitimate sideline threat if he can get to a point where he's able to 1v1 the Aurelia rather than the Aatrox. But Flandre, confidently matching the Shy in the sidelines right now, has the Death Stance completed alongside the Black Cleaver, and can really start to do a number on this, you know, kind of struggling Grand Duelist.
Flandre, again, split pushing the bot lane. Oh boy, the big plays
How do
here
you
would
match
be...
him? How do you match him when he's 4-0 and has these incredible items? And, well, we saw IG camping for a pick before. It didn't really pan out, but now it's LNG's turn to say, look, Azura, come with us this time, and we'll maybe, hopefully, do something a little bit better.
Yeah, the Baron dance is still ongoing as IG are trying to regain vision control over the pit. Azura is back. He's dealing
Double
a
stun
lot of
connected.
damage. Tempered Fate catches Lucas and leaves Ning completely off guard. Catching face, first a glacial
Flandre.
prison, now the World Ender is looking for Jackie Love as SFM picks up the double, and the red carpet is rolled out for LNG to take home the Baron.
SFM getting the catch there, just finding Ning, finding Lucas. The Tempered Fate was beautiful, but that entire play came off of a really, really clutch Bard Q coming from Dwan there. Dwan played that absolutely pixel perfectly, and they managed to knock down Ning on the front of that fight. Then took Lucas out, and Jackie Love found himself in a very precarious position. Locked down enough by SFM Sejuani, long enough for Flandre to come up with the flank. And look at this play. So they're clearing out the wards, and then you see Lucas move forward, but as soon as Lucas comes to place the ward, Bard Q comes through, they stasis the turret, and then kill the Jarvan on the side. And then Jackie Love, not the greatest position to be in. Rookie trying to go for a flank after clearing out the waves top side, but it's too little too late. Just cannot join that fight. And the solo laners of IG limp away, but the Baron is in the pockets of LNG now.
I don't know if you realized, but Ning accidentally took the glacial prison from Sejuani. It was meant to go for Jackie Love, but he did the ultimate sacrifice. Now Azura might have been caught off again with that glacial augment. IG looking for a fight, but it's not a fight they want to take. Not with 5 members of LNG packing the Baron Nashor buff.
But when you're fishing for a fight like that with the active items from the Nico, and you're not finding it in that 5v4, you're seeing just objectives fall left and right to this insane split push of the Aatrox.
Aatrox 4-0-1, still split pushing the bot lane now. The Shy is trying to regroup with his team in the mid lane. Their numbers are being spread thin through the mid, through the bot, and now through the top as Plex is heading towards that tier 2 tower in the lane.
The Shy actually going for the 1v1 with Flandre here. Flandre has no allies near him because everyone's playing towards the top side, so this is legitimately a 1v1.
It is legitimately a 1v1 unless you have Duan with the redemption coming through and healing Flandre for a little bit, but the Shy ultimately disbands that trade.
So now you do have the Zeke's convergence completed on Sejuani. He's had it for a while now, SFM, and that does mean that whichever of these melee carries he drops it on, or if it's even on the Ezreal, they're gonna be pumping out a solid more amount of DPS, and the DPS can counter the Taric ult by just bursting down a target before that Radiance has a chance to hit and render the target invulnerable.
The LNG to maintain the tempo of the game, maintain the pace. As the Shy is looking for the blue buff, not allowing LNG to take it home with them. Flandre is going to scout out for the buff. He's going to spot at the Shy, clearing it out in front of him, while the rest of LNG are going to limit IG to the perimeter of their base.
And our analysts are probably thinking, what? We kind of predicted an IG win here. I think a couple of them even said 2-0 for IG, but right now, LNG turning the tables in part thanks to this aggressive vision game that they keep pushing in tandem with the Baron, and they have pressure in every single lane, but it's bot lane that's now the point of contention. Teleport coming through.
There's another trade going on. Flandre pops the World Ender. They want to go for the Shy. They don't want to let him have anything this game, but SFM is met with Ning, Lucas, and Jackie Love, who form a man barrier to prevent him from going to the back line. No ultimates were used. Tempered Fate is on cooldown, and so is the World Ender, but look at that! Lucas gets caught off guard with that Glacial Prison. Try to re-engage. SFM is locked in, but no damage output is enough to shred through this tank.
And you can tell that LNG were kind of on the defensive in that mindset there, because there was a deeper ward for Plex to teleport to, but he opted to just, defend his top laner there. Said, look, Flandre, I don't know if the Shy can continue to commit to you, so I'm just going to come right next to you, send this Fiora away. And they tried to go for the cutoff. It did not work out. And I thought that with the Tempered Fate being spell shielded, it did mean there was an opening for a Glacial Prison. SFM also thought that clearly and went for it, but sadly enough for LNG, nothing really came for that. IG, on the other hand, pretty much thankful that they managed to just prolong the usage of the Baron buff to not really gain much for this LNG lineup, and now they've outlasted it. So a little bit more breathing room for a composition that really needed to get to this point where the Civers hit late game, where the Fiora can continue to build towards these later items.
Absolutely. Now, with the Baron play, I mean, they've taken a lot of towers. Realistically, they've taken all the outer turrets, but they haven't opened up any inhibitors. So, all things considered, this is a win for IG. But LNG still need to put their foot on the pedal if they want to maintain the pressure of this game. They need to speed up and try to get the inner structures of the base. And they're doing that via a little bit of a trap coming in. Duan finds Rookie and his clone. Rookie's clone finds Duan in the process, throws out the ghosts, goes up straight for SFM. And it's a bit of a Baron dance going on as LNG are pre-preparating the area for the upcoming Baron.
They are indeed preparing the area for the upcoming Baron. And just, yeah, this aggressive vision line that I cannot just stress enough. Look at how many sweepers are currently in this inventory. 4 between everyone on this composition except Azura right now. Just that's how in control LNG are. They're basically saying, look, we don't need more vision. We just need you to have less vision.
You have to do what you have to do. But Sura is certainly not a pushover when it comes to vision control as well. I mean, compared to everyone else, he might be a little bit of a pushover. He's got 14 vision score compared to the second worst member of this team, which is Plex on 24. But look at that vision score coming in from Duan, 92 at the 30-minute mark.
And this Ezreal building towards that Hexagon Babu mentioned before, there's just going to be so much damage being pumped out of almost every member of this LNG lineup. Yes, Duan isn't doing much now, but the sheer amount of utility you see, the catalyst to a lot of these winning fights is that Bard Q connecting, is that Tempered Fate. Not really connecting so much as, drawing out these defensive cooldowns like the Riposte, like the Spell Shield from the Sivir. Just so many options that this Bard facilitates for the rest of his team to follow up on, and Flandre facilitating a follow-up of his own here, starting up the Baron.
They don't care for nothing. LNG going straight for the Baron Nashor. The Shy obviously forced to teleport in. 5k left. Are they going to commit to the objective, or are they going to commit to the fight? They're going to fight. Lucas is caught. He's taken down before the ultimate shot. But the Pop Blossom in the back line takes a lot of damage over from the Asura. Rookie is pulling back. Look at Ning in the back line, trying to shred through this, and stopwatch is pulled. Flandre is taken out as well. IG come back into the game with a double kill from Jackie Love.
And that looks like the Baron throw from LNG there. They committed too hard. They knocked down Lucas, but the Taric ult came through. SOFM is alive. He could go for the steal. He has Smite available. He's too early.
Oh, that's a little bit too early, but Sejuani is pretty tanky. Look at IG perfectly stopping the Baron on its tracks as they focus their attention over to SFM. They secure the Baron Nashor. 4 members of IG hold that buff dearly as SFM runs for his life.
Good luck getting away from the utility build Nico as she is chasing him down. Rookie coming through on this Nico, and the Baron buff in pocket for every member of Invictus Gaming.
Oh, can they find the Sejuani? SFM is buying his team so much time, but eventually he's going to collapse to the Shy, who collects a 600 gold shutdown and the first kill of the game.
And we said the Sivir and Fiora composition needed more gold to get to those late game power spikes, and that's exactly what they got here. As we do see a replay of this initial fight. So you see Lucas does almost immediately get burst down, but he gets off the Taric ult. He tanks up the Sejuani ult, which is so influential to the success of the rest of his team. And then this Pop Blossom was absolutely beautiful. Forced so many defensive cooldowns and killed, or at least stunned, a couple of members. The Baron Nashor doing his own fair share of work as well on the backline of that. And then, yeah, the fadeaway Sivir boomerang just to further stick the nail in the coffin. Now, LNG licking their wounds at this point, just saying, look, let's stall out a little bit. Let's play the defensive game. We've thrown away a bit of our aggressive lead. But, yeah, it's not over yet.
It's not, but it was such a reckless call from LNG to go straight for the Baron. They had perfect vision of IG. They knew the Shy was bot lane. They knew he had teleport. And they knew 4 members of IG were in the mid lane. How reckless do you have to be to go straight for the Baron Nashor without at least trying to get a pick on anyone on Invictus Gaming?
See, this is the curse of most LPL teams, where you have the fact you have to weigh where overconfidence becomes, overzealousness or whatnot, where you have to measure between, can you afford to take an inch to take a mile when they give you an inch, or you're just going to crash and burn. Because now IG, they actually can take some of these fights if Jackie Love positions well enough to be consistently dishing out the DPS. He has the Quicksilver
Wait.
Sash in pocket in case he eats something. Yeah, that Ezreal ult hurts.
No, but LNG are going for the Mountain Dragon. They try to lock down the Shy. The Shy parries away most of the damage. And look at Invictus Gaming. With Tarek's ult, they get everyone invulnerable as LNG is turning tail and running. SFM is down for the count, but now it's time for LNG to turn back the tables. Flandre goes into stasis with his ultimate, but the fight has already been resolved. LNG are in shambles as they're trying to maintain what little members they have left alive with the onslaught of Invictus Gaming.
And if you're focusing down the Shy who's isolated in your backline, if you're pumping damage into his front line, it means that the Sivir is free casting. Ning?
Sure, I mean, less a Baron, but Rookie just dodges out the True Shot barrage as Azura just clear out the wave enhanced by the Baron. I guess that's 3 for 2?
It's a one fight for IG, but it's still not all doom and gloom for LNG, simply because this is more time with which Invictus Gaming aren't exactly pushing with their Baron buff. Yes, they won this skirmish, but it's still, you know, overall, not too much of a net loss for LNG. And despite the fact that Baron did go over to IG previously, they're still up 2k gold. LNG just, yeah, happy to continue to take as many skirmishes as possible, because the later you leave it, the more threatening Fiora and Sivir are going to become. You're on a time bomb now, and you need to take these fights while you still can.
And as opposed to the Fiora, who skills really well into the late game, Aatrox, not so much. Kind of starts decaying after that mid game, unless he manages to find a consistent split push.
And it's that consistent split push threat that, you know, the Fiora's gonna start to evolve into, if not already, because you saw the Shy was threatening Flandre even when LNG were in their massive leads there. And yeah, as we touched on that replay, just Jackie Love going pretty much untouched, pumping out that reliable AoE damage in the backline. The Pop Blossom was just basically a zoning tool, but that's enough for the Sivir to just trash people left and right with these boomerang blades.
Yeah, and one thing we need to keep in mind is the fact that the Shy had a terrible laning phase. He did, but he was always split pushing. Well, Flandre started to join his team earlier than the Shy to start dishing out damage, start bouncing people up and down. We see that the Shy continuously farmed solo in the side lane, so much so that he is about 40 CS ahead of his counterpart right now.
SFM, you could look for something here. IG actually gonna go on the full retreat. Those you have Tempered Fate coming through. It catches Lucas.
Catches Lucas. Lucas flashes out. However, the Tangle Barbs are going to lock down Duan in place as he magical journeys his way under the tower. Flandre knocking people up, gets the first articulate out. There's the Cataclysm going on for SFM. He's low, but he's still alive.
He also maintains his ultimate, and he will sustain thanks to the Warmog's armor, so this is actually a good fight for LNG to take once it rolls around again, because Cataclysm and the On the Hunt both pop from IG, so it's actually a net ultimate advantage in favor of LNG here.
They're waiting for the re-engagement! No! The Glacial Prison got spell shielded by Jackie Love. Amazing positioning from Invictus Gaming, but Jackie Love now in dire trouble. He still holds to that QSS, remaining alive in his sliver of health. Rookie in the backline tries to go for the Pop Blossom, gets the kill on 2-1, but is ultimately taken down as Plex in the backline, shredding through Invictus Gaming, collects a double kill, and they're running down the mid lane.
Plex just 1v3'd while the Shy was bot lane. He dived into the backline, he picked up the Sivir with the Vanguard's Edge, and then continued to commit. There's only so much you can do against this lineup. There's only so much you can do against an insanely fed Aurelia like this, and Teleport coming through suggests that LNG maybe even looking for the end here. Cannon minions with them.
They have a few minions, but the ultimate coming in from Lucas will safeguard the Shy for a little bit of damage as the Nexus towers are being focused down. Flandre with the World Ender gets 2 resets, and double kill for Azura means that LNG come back into the game to take home the first win of this best of 3 series.
It was as far from clean as you could possibly get, especially when it comes to that last 15 minutes of the game, but the first 20 minutes were beauty, and so was that last fight. You saw IG looking a bit disoriented, sending the Shy bot lane, and Plex, man, coming out of nowhere, just absolutely. Where has this guy been? Okay, he's been on Griffin, but now he's in the LPL and he is confidently styling on the world champions.
Eyes on this mid laner. I mean, yes, he did miss a couple of ultimates here and there, but it doesn't matter. Just like the Sejuani ults, the Glacial Prison, it doesn't matter how many you land. It matters when you land them and how important they are. And in this last team fight, it was clutch.
Absolutely. And yeah, those Vanguard's edges in the early game, not too impressive. A couple of ult fumbles here and there from LNG, but they just powered through. When they saw the chance to take a fight, they took it. And I said that IG, they had a fighting chance if they got to that 40-minute mark. And credit to them, they held on for a decent amount of time despite that early game kind of struggle. But they managed to get to that late game point and they almost turned it around. But LNG, man, Plex, you are something else.
Something else, but surely the analyst desk will have something else to say as well, as we're going to pass over to TJ with his guests to break down exactly what happened in this first game between LNG and IG. So TJ, take it away.